Hi everybody, welcome to our Monday mashup. I'm Charlie Carnaccio. We're here at Somers High School during a multi-way scrimmage before the season begins. We'll share highlights of games and results from the past week. Joe Lombardi will have an interview with Dan Petronic, the head coach at Walter Panis. Rich will also have an interview with both DiMatteos. Son Dom and Father Tony are here, and then we'll take a look at the top matchups for the first games of the season. But before we do that, we want to convey our deepest sympathies to the families of the football player from Pine Plains who died in a car crash Thursday. As a father, I cannot even imagine the thought of losing a child. We wanted you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you and the Pine Plains community. Please take comfort in knowing that the entire Hudson Valley is thinking of you and ready to support in this time of sorrow. All right, so the weekend starts with a couple of football debuts. Army opens the season at Michie Stadium. Marist hosts Sacred Heart in their Saturday home opener. The season opener at home for the Red Foxes, but it was the visiting Sacred Heart team that was making themselves right at home in this one. Already up a quick 6 with 2 field goals, Pioneers were poised to put more points on the board. Chris Rogers hits another field goal, this one from 22 yards out, and it's 9-0 in the second. Later in the quarter, Greg Moore takes it on the ground, a 9-yard run, and the Red Fox hole is getting deeper by the minute. A rare lightning delay forced the entire stadium to evacuate, and for good reason. A storm was brewing, and the game would be suspended for over an hour until the lightning stopped. When play resumed, Marist had a renewed sense of purpose, charging down the field. Chucky Looney, who was just 8 for 15 prior to the lightning delay, started connecting. And the offense, that mustered a negative 6 yards so far in the game, started turning the dial the other way. Atik Lucas scored from 1 yard out, and Marist was on the board for the first time. The Foxes trailed 16-7 at the half, second half action, and here's a quiz. How do you lose momentum? Fumble on the 1 yard line. There were scheduled fireworks in the air, but you could be sure there was going to be an unscheduled firework display in the Marist locker room after this one. With the ball on the 1, Marist basically gift-wrapped a Sacred Heart lead and put this one out of reach. Kashouter Spence takes it in, making it 23-7, and time was running out for the Red Foxes with only 8 rushing yards.
Marist falls 37-21.
Chucky Looney did provide a silver lining in this one. He passed for 228 yards with 2 TDs, breaking the all-time pass record at Marist, previously held by James Luft. Marist returns to action next Saturday at Bucknell.
We got to be better. We just have to be better, and we can't get into a 37-7 hole. I mean, at home, opening night, that's just something that's not acceptable for us. And a lot of it was self-inflicted also with the turnovers that we had, and our punt team got one returned against them also. And those are things that you just can't have happen if you're going to be successful.
Army jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter and never looked back. Junior quarterback Angel Santiago racked up 221 total yards. He threw for 101 yards and a touchdown and scored 3 times on the ground. Army travels to Ball State on Saturday, and the Black Knights are back home on the 14th, hosting Stanford. Lots of great activity over the past weekend, and we're looking for even more great activity this week as most of the high school seasons open up this week. So we'll have plenty of highlights and information right here on Hudson Valley Sports Report. We mentioned we're at Somers High School. Joe Lombardi had a chance to go down to the second field and talk with the head football coach over at Walter Panis. Joe?
Thanks, Charlie and Dan. Great atmosphere today. Yeah, just a week away from starting the season. What does your team get out of this today?
We're trying to still put some pieces in place. We're looking at, trying to find the right spots for kids to be, take advantage of that and take advantage of their opportunities, make us a better team altogether, see who wants to come out. It's a big boys game out here, so we got to find out who wants to hit and who's going to be able to hit in this game. So that's what we're looking for.
Dan, give us a couple sentences on your team this year. You guys had a great run last year in the playoffs, a lot of excitement around the program. Who are a couple of your leading players, and how do you think you look going into the start of the season?
We've been hurt with injuries early on here, but the quarterback's been real healthy. Liam Hagens and Russ Molinar, defensive guy and fullback and tailback, and John Brophy, of course, is looking strong this year. So we're looking for some things. Our receivers are looking good. So need the line to get stout, and we'll be fine there, and that'll be it.
And a tough opener right off the bat against Yorktown we're all looking forward to, and we'll see you there. Dan Petronic,
Right.
thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. Charlie?
Thanks, Joe. We also mentioned that the DiMattios are here, both son Dominic and father Tony, both for Arlington and Somers, and they're scrimmaging against each other. We thought a perfect opportunity to sit them down and talk to both of them, and Rich has that interview.
Hey, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Guys, thank you for doing this. First of all, Tony, thank you for letting us come down here today. It's a beautiful facility.
Thank you, and we love getting the publicity. You guys do a great job, so we're just happy that you're here.
Tell us what you got out of this. 4-team multi-scrimmage. You had a chance to scrimmage 3 different teams today. Tony, tell us what you worked on a little bit without giving away the company secrets, and what you got out of today.
To me, the biggest thing was playing game conditions, getting the special teams out there. It was just a chore getting them to run on and off the field. We had kids not getting lined up or forgetting that they were on team. So I think the game conditions is what I got the most out of today.
Dom, what did you see for Arlington? You're about 2 weeks into practice now. Where are you with the level of practice you want to be at, and what did you get out of today?
Well, as my dad indicated, you really do this type of a scrimmage for the game day operation. So from that perspective, we were pretty good with our substitutions, knowing who has to be in, who has to be out. We have some execution things we need to get squared away, quite honestly. And I think anytime you're in this type of a setting, you never play as bad as you think you did. You never play as well as you think you did. And the film is going to be very important. I think we're going to see that we played very well in certain spots and then very poorly in certain spots. So our thing is going to be working towards consistency with execution.
As far as we're able to tell, this is the only active father-son coaching combination, at least in Section 1, if not New York State. So, Tony, what did many years ago when he said he wanted to get into coaching, what'd you tell him?
Actually, I was happy. At first, he didn't want to be a coach, and he was in investment banking, and then he just realized that wasn't for him. So when he decided to become a coach, I was really excited about it and very happy. And I just hope the Arlington people know the kind of coach that they have up there, because of, winning and losing is important, but it's not winning at all costs. He's developing the kids the way he's supposed to. He learned it from me, and I'm very proud of him.
What did you glean all those years watching him coach?
It's hard to sum up so many things. I think at the end of the day, the importance of being an educator, and really the plan, how to be an educator, how to educate kids through the sport of football, teaching them how to be productive citizens one day, and most importantly, the importance of them being student athletes now. And I think that was what I really got from all the years of being a ball boy, then a player, then a coach with them, and now really on a different level as a colleague as it relates to coaching. Really just that part of it, I could say I just mapped the plan.
Right. Is it difficult? Is it difficult to coach your son? Is it difficult to play for your father?
Well, I will tell you this. The highs are the highest and the lows are the lowest. And you have to come to grips. Do you want that? I know how my feeling towards my players, and to get my sons to play for me, it just brought it up another level. Certainly when something goes wrong for them, it hurts you deeply. But to me, it's always worth it. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it the same way. I want to coach my sons.
And you've got a son who's coaching on your sidelines, Anthony.
Well, I'll tell you this. Over the last, I don't know what it is, maybe 25 years, I've always had 1, 2, or 3 of my sons with me. When Dominic was coaching, Albert was playing. The 3 of us were together. Dominic played for me at Roosevelt. When he came back and coached, and then Anthony came here. So I've had a son involved with me in football over the last 20 or 25 years.
And you playing for him?
Well, I think what really helped was we didn't get treated differently. And that's hard. I know a lot of people struggle with that dynamic. And if we did well, we got praised like everybody else. If we didn't, we got ripped just like everybody else. And that's all you could ask for, to be treated equally. And at the end of the day, I know myself, and I don't think my brothers, we certainly weren't great football players, but we were good high school football players. We hustled, we listened, we did all those things that a coach would praise. And so I think that helped the dynamic. But at the end of the day, it was because we weren't treated differently. We were not given any special treatment. Arlington
and Somers, of course, are in 2 different leagues, 2 different classes. So obviously there's probably never going to be a time when you play each other. However, how often do you guys talk? Are you on the phone a lot? Are you talking strategy?
Oh, yeah. we talk quite often. And I think now what it's come to, the conversations, it can be fairly quick. because again, throughout my career at least, so much of the foundation I learned from him. So I think that accelerates the conversations. I can get to a point right away. And, I like to think at this point it goes two ways a little bit, but we talk all the time.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. We will see you, sir, against Poughkeepsie next week, and we will see you also against Ramapo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And welcome back to Monday Mashup. We are here at Somers High School, 5-team scrimmage before the season gets started. This is an exciting time for these players, but also for us because it's just a week away before we actually get started.
It's a great day here at Somers, and I really have enjoyed so far watching. We've got Arlington, we've got Walter Panis, we've got the host, of course, we've got Stepanak. So we've got some great teams here, and it's 1 week before the season.
All right, I wanted to start off with about 4 games that are the big games this season for the first game of the season. So let's start with them, and then you guys just kind of give us your impression of what you think is going to happen. We'll start with Arlington and Ramapo.
Yeah, I think Arlington coming off, Rich, a disappointing season. Obviously, they're going to come right out with a sense of urgency. Ramapo, meanwhile, will have a lot of energy and emotion, and there always is when there's a new coach trying to instill his system. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think it'll be a competitive game.
Look, it's a big Friday night game at home for Arlington. They're coming off the 1-7, difficult year. They've got to get off to a good start. They've got a quarterback in Brandon Tobin, a good line. The defense, some questions there, but I think that's a game that Arlington can win at home on Friday night.
How big a win is it for Arlington coming off the season that they had? It's got to be pretty huge to win that first game.
Well, that would give them a 2-game winning streak, considering their only win last year was at the end of the season. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, hey, look, any team, it's week 1. Any team wants to get off to a great start.
All right. Second game, Yorktown, Panis. You were at Yorktown. You saw the new field.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I think this Yorktown team, folks, really is going to come out this season with a chip on its shoulder. And I know as much as Coach Mike Resigno said, hey, we accept that things can happen, they did not get into the playoffs with a 6-2 record. This is a senior-laden team. Guys like Eric Morales that we talked to, Ricky Corrado, Nicky Bonatadabis, Austin Fusco, Connor Veracruz. The talent is there. It's a senior-laden team that wants to end their careers with a playoff bid. And I will say right now, Panis did make the playoffs last year. In order for Yorktown to get into the playoffs, I think they're going to have to win this opener against Panis. It's a big one.
All right, big games. We're talking about one huge game right in the Hudson Valley is Ketchum and New Rochelle. Oh, yeah. Speaking with Pat Keevens, the head coach, he said that, this is a game where the players will do something that no other Ketchum player in the history of the program has ever done, and that's play against a state championship team, or at least defending state championship team. They are poised to do something huge if they win this game.
Well, I think it's a great game for Ketchum to open up with. That's number 1. Number 2, I love the fact that Pat Keevens, in the preview that you did, the video preview that's on the site right now, said, look, it's put up or shut up time. There's no candy coating this. He's got a senior-laden team. He's got a third-year starter at quarterback in Kevin Duke, a great quarterback. This is the time for Ketchum to really kind of shine. And, it's a tough game to start off against the defending state champion, but it's also kind of one of those barometer games.
Yeah, you know what, Rich? I tell you what, I think New Rochelle, on paper, people are going to say, well, New Rochelle, the defending state champs, guys like Corey Holder on the team, maybe a big favorite. I don't buy that. I think New Rochelle has significant graduation losses. I think the Huguenots will be better at the end of the season than they will be at the beginning. And if you're in this position that Ketchum is to play a state championship team for the first time, I'd rather do it A, at home, and also be in the first game.
First game of the season.
I think this will be a close game. I do.
No, I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what a catapulter if Ketchum wins. If Ketchum wins that game, as a senior-laden team, what kind of confidence does that give them? There's a lot of seniority across and veteran. So across all the teams, we're seeing that there are a lot of returning players. I think it's going to be a strong year for football. Poughkeepsie and Somers. Now that's going to be a huge one.
Great game. Great game. Another one where, look, let's face it, Poughkeepsie is coming off some off-season turmoil. There's no question. They had some bit of a coaching carousel going on. They lost Ken Barger. They lost his replacement, who resigned almost with the entire coaching staff in a separate issue. And now they have John Castellano of Nyack, and Joe knows a lot about John, that's for sure.
Yeah, and this The Castellano versus DiMatteo coaching matchup. This is something I've seen many times through the years, folks. Nyack and Somers, epic battles. Here we have Tony DiMatteo and his son Dom DiMatteo, but this is a scrimmage. Here you have the coach, the mentor, Tony,
right.
and the
pupil. The
disciple. And you know there's a lot of pride. You have a lot of disciples, Charlie, so you know there's a lot of pride when you teach them for them to do it right. And Tony DiMatteo, coming off a Section 1 championship season, the last thing he wants to do is open the year with a loss against John Castellano, trying to put his stamp on this Poughkeepsie program. What I really like about this is not only that, but it's a matchup of the last 2 Section 1 Class A champs right off the bat.
Good point. Now, you were at the school and you talked with John about implementing a whole new offense. I mean, that's going to be huge for this team. They got a new coach and a new offense.
Well, you've seen it work, and you've seen it work successfully for many years at Millbrook with Sean Keenan running the wing T. Now John Castellano is going to bring it to Poughkeepsie. You know, the thing about at Poughkeepsie is he's got some great skill position players. Quarterback Markel Green is just a dynamic player in his own right. And the best thing about Poughkeepsie, Charlie, I'll tell you, the one thing I noticed is they have some size on the line. Yeah. They've always had some size, but you know, people think they had some graduation losses, and they don't. So they've got the blockers to open the holes.
How do you think that field is going to help them in the speed category?
Oh my God! You know, these guys aren't going to slip. There's going to be no fall downs. There's not, you know. I mean, that field is absolutely gorgeous. Poughkeepsie did a great job with it, and to run that particular offense on that field, I don't even want to think about it.
You know, the wing tee, when it first became popular, a lot of coaches were saying it was overrated. And in some respects, it is. You know, it's a lot of traps and stuff like that. But I think if you have the right coach, it's extremely powerful with a lot of different weapons.
Well, I think the key is you have to have the element of the ability to pass. You may not need to throw a lot, but you at least have to be a threat to throw the ball on a 3rd and 8. Now, there's some teams that'll run a counter crisscross or on 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8. They just don't have the ability to pass. I think you don't have to throw a lot out of it, but if you have that ability, it makes the wing tee so effective.
Yeah, and I think another part of that too is again goes back to the offensive line. You know, when I said Poughkeepsie has size, they do. But the thing that John Castellano loved and told me right away was, well, we've got quickness, and that's just as important running the wing tee offense.
Okay, so we close it up here. Any final thoughts from either one of you before we close out our Monday mashup?
Well, I would say overall, looking at week 1, there are not a huge volume of great games, but there are 4 outstanding games that we talked about, and I'm not biased, so we just happen to talk about them all. I think from start to finish, there may be games that are, I don't know about that, but to have these type of matchups like a Somers Poughkeepsie right off the bat, Ketchum, Arlington, folks, for week 1, we will know a lot after this week.
And you know what? It's not just football either. We've got soccer. We've got the defending state champions in Arlington. Arlington girls won a sectional title. New Paltz won a sectional title. Spack and Kill girls won a sectional title. You know, soccer in the Hudson Valley is amazing. Arlington volleyball.
Port Chester soccer.
Arlington
Mills.
Arlington volleyball. The amount of teams that we have that are successful is just amazing. And I'm looking forward to the beginning of the entire week. You know, everything really kicks off in earnest. You know, Tuesday, and you know, Mahal Golf has started, but everything really kicks off in earnest on Tuesday. This is the opening week. It's going to be great, and I can't wait.
It's an exciting time for the area. It's an exciting time for us. It's well documented. You know, we're only a week old, and we're trying to do the best we can to provide the great coverage that we know that our kids really deserve in this area, as well as the coaching staffs and as well as the support networks throughout the booster clubs and the community recreation programs and volunteers, and everybody who's involved in the sports community really needs to get that kind of attention. So we're here to hopefully provide that, and we're glad that you guys check in with us every day because it's always something new and upcoming. Once again, our thoughts go out to the Pine Plains community, football community, and the parents who suffered that devastating loss. Just once again, remember that everyone in this Hudson Valley feels your pain and is there to support you as well. For Rich Tomaselli and for Joe Lombardi, I'm Charlie Carnaccio. Thanks for watching our Monday Mashup, and we'll see you tomorrow.